Freeway Frank, welcome to the podcast. This has been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
You, as a Montreal radio guy, you were one of the voices that everyone in the morning knew for years. Like you were, Freeway Frank was kind of like, it was a staple of the city.
Thank you.
There was sadness when you were let go, and there was a lot of rumors as to why. Like, people didn't want to believe at the time that radio didn't know what it was doing. It wasn't going too well. Like, both Bell, Rogers across the country, when they were taking over stations, they were getting rid of all the main people in it. And here, because the French side was doing so well, it seems like the people on the English side were like in denial. They're like, no, it must be something else. It's not.
Yeah. People were looking for reasons that, that Natasha and I lost our gig, and there was no real reason. It was, their reason was restructuring, which was bullshit. Yeah. I just think we got to a point where we were successful. I mean, you look at the ratings from any year we were there. Radio's based on that. That's all we have. That's our report card. We had great ratings all along, but radio revenues had been dropping for almost over a decade. The radio business hasn't been doing too well since the turn of the century, and they've done nothing to help themselves. Radio's been it's still a big part of my life. I spent 30 years in radio. It's in my heart, but they ruined it. The corporations ruined it. And then, you hear rumors like you mentioned. I heard everything from Natasha and I got caught having sex in the studio, which
I didn't hear that one. Did we hear that one?
What bullshit is? I mean, look, I don't want to be that guy that goes, I swear to God, man, look, on my dad's grave.
I don't think they would have fired you for that.
No, I don't think so. And not only that, but if I'm going to go down with the ship, if I'm going to go down with the ship, I'm not going to get caught doing nasty shit with my co-host, who I respect, in the studio. That's the dumbest thing I heard.
Where there's people working,
Right. So people, assume, what did he do? There has to be a reason. There was no reason. It came out of the blue. We were completely blindsided, and it was the biggest shock of my life. And I worked hard on that show. Natasha worked hard on that show. Anybody who was in that building knew that we cared a lot. I'm a passionate radio guy. And then that day came, August 7th, 2019. We don't forget these days on our calendar. And that's it. Fini. Au revoir, So to see what they've done to so many broadcasters, across the country, what the corporations have done, they really did a disservice to the people, because when you're on the air, Pantelis, I'm telling you, all they tell you is, Frank, Tash, you have to wear your heart on your sleeve. You have to open up. You have to tell people about your life. That's how you make the connection. And then when they get rid of you, they don't even take that into account. It's like you're there one day and gone the next. Well, what happened to all the stories I shared over the years? This is what you do to your listeners. And that's why the listeners reacted the way they did. I feel worse for the listeners than I do for myself, because we were their companion every day, and you make bonds. I still see people all the time. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not somewhere, that somebody shouts something at me. Miss you on the radio. I have a podcast now. I miss you on the radio. and the biggest fans have followed over. But my mistake, and I don't look at anything in life as regrets, not really a mistake, lack of a better word, but it was not getting into the podcast game right away. COVID happened after. We were in a lawsuit as well with Bell Media.
Oh, what happened with that? Because also not getting the podcast right away, I think I spoke about it on another podcast.
Yeah.
It was during the time you guys got fired, and I was like, they should just start a fucking podcast.
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
We couldn't. And
they weren't letting you or something. I think you were supposed to come on at one point early.
Yes, because
it was during the time where you weren't allowed to speak or something.
Exactly. We weren't allowed for about 15 months. And that's when I realized who this company was, the true colors. This is a company that their whole platform is mental health. And if I could tell you some of the stuff that went on, and we started with arbitration, then we went to the actual, suing part, which didn't last long after that. It was 15 months, COVID, that's it. We were in a lockdown because of COVID. As soon as things started to kind of open up, then it was settled, because they realized maybe if we push this longer, they're going to run out of funds. But my lawyers hung in with us, and we did well. So what that did do, though, is blacklist us, to the point where I would never get hired. Well, first of all, it's sad to say too, but I have no interest in working on the radio. It's not to say that you never say never, but I'm not actively seeking. The haters out there, and we all have haters, will say, he just buried himself, right? And blacklisted himself, and now he's just bitter. trust me, man, the state of media now, you think I'm fucking bitter? I have my own podcast. Respect guys like you who are the innovators and started in this business and the podcasting business way earlier, 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. I've always been a fan of this medium that I'm now a part of, but podcasting is podcasting. It's not broadcasting. Completely different, right?
Different things, yeah.
And I've had to learn how to do podcasting. And I'm 164 episodes deep, and I still catch myself sometimes doing those little radio-isms that I never, but I've gotten most of them out of the way. Now I'm more comfortable, but I've always been comfortable on the mic. As you could tell, I never shut the fuck up. I mean, but
that's what you need.
Sometimes
for this
you get
business.
people, I'm sure they don't talk. You have to do most of the talking. So sorry, I'll let you talk.
No, I prefer this when I have guests.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's another thing is awkward is I'm sitting across from you and I'm used to, having you on my podcast, let's say, and asking the questions. I feel really weird with you asking me questions.